Hello, and welcome back to Total Combatives. Today, I'm going to teach you 6 basic rope dart spins and how to transition between them. So let's get started. Okay, so if you haven't ever swung your rope dart around before, you're going to want to start with the basics. So at the opposite end of the rope from the dart is a noose. You're going to want to cinch that around your non-dominant hand wrist. This will be your anchor hand as the rope is anchored to it. Your dominant hand is going to be referred to as your lead hand because it leads the dart. So after you've cinched that, you get to pick up the rope in the other hand and pick how much rope you want to be playing with. You might want shorter, you might want longer. I do recommend for beginners to use a shorter length, probably about 2.5 feet or so. And then as you get comfortable with that and skilled with that, you can lengthen it out a little bit. The shorter the amount of rope you are playing with, the easier it will be to maneuver. Then you've got all the slack. You are going to want there to be at least an arm's length, maybe a teeny bit less, of slack in between your two hands. And then the rest will be just free slack. You can do whatever you want with that. You can kind of just bind it up. You could roll it up. It really doesn't matter. As you progress with your skill level, you'll find different techniques to allow you to lengthen the rope or shorten it. And a lot of people like it to be really nice, but then you'll extend the rope full swing so you don't have any slack. And as you bring it in, you just have to grab it real quick to shorten it, and it's kind of hard to do it nicely. I succeeded in doing it, but when you're swinging fast and you just need to be quick, oftentimes you won't get it that nicely. You might have it all bunched up. It doesn't matter as long as you've got the rope length that you want to play with and a good amount of slack in between. This is okay. There are 3 terms that you need to learn for your rope dart spins, and they are as follows: the wheel spin, the wall spin, and the diagonal spin. So to begin with, let's start with the wheel spin. Imagine you are sitting in a chariot. Your horse is in front of you, but at your right and your left, you've got 2 big wheels. When you spin the rope dart on either your right or your left, it's kind of like those wheels. I've got this big wheel to my right. Now I've got this big wheel spinning to my left. So whenever the rope dart is spinning on your left or your right, it is referred to as a wheel spin. The next term is wall. Imagine you're standing in front of a big brick wall. Whenever the rope is spinning in front of you and it's flat, kind of like a wall, that is referred to as a wall spin. Then the last term is the diagonal spin, which is not a wheel spin or a wall spin, but it's kind of cut right in between the two. So instead of it pointing that way or that way, it's right in the middle, cutting a diagonal path across your vision. And that would look like this. So from there to there. So we have our wheel spin, our diagonal spin, and our wall spin. So let's start with the wheel spin. What you're going to want to do is get the rope spinning towards the front of you. Notice that as I'm spinning it, the bottom half of the arc, the circle that's from here to here, the rope is traveling in that direction. The dart on the bottom half of the circle is arcing in that direction. So this is the wheel spin. When the rope is traveling in the opposite direction, so now the bottom half of the arc right here, the dart is traveling that way, that is a reverse wheel spin. So wheel spin, it's going forward on the bottom half of the circle. Reverse, it's pointing that way on the bottom half of the circle. It's traveling from there to there. This is very important to learn now, because depending on which way the bottom of the arc is traveling determines which way you can throw it. So right now, the bottom half of the circle, the dart is traveling in that direction. That means that when I throw, it will be thrown in that direction. And the reverse is also true. If I am in a reverse wheel spin like I am right now, the bottom half of the circle, the dart is traveling in that direction. So if I were to throw it, I'd throw it in that direction. So, you gotta kind of comprehend this rule and how it works now, because it is true of all of the different spins. So this wheel spin is two different spins. You have your wheel spin and your reverse wheel spin. You can practice transitioning between the two by letting the dart stall out. So I am in a wheel spin, the bottom of the dart is traveling in that direction. I let it stall out in front of me and use that momentum to get it spinning the other way. And now I'm in a reverse wheel spin. Let it stall out. Now I am in a wheel spin. Stall out, reverse wheel spin, stall out, wheel spin. Now you're ready to learn the wall spin. A good way to remember whether it is a original spin or the reverse version of the spin, so either a forward wheel spin or just a wheel spin or a reverse wheel spin, is whether the bottom half of the arc on all of the different spins is traveling away from or toward your dominant side, your lead side foot. So to use the wheel spin as an example, notice that the bottom half is traveling that way, away from my foot. Therefore, it would be the original version, the wheel spin. If the bottom half is traveling towards my lead foot, then it would be a reverse. The same is true with the wheel spin and the diagonal spin as well. It's a good way to remember which one is which. When it comes to the wheel spin, go ahead and start spinning it towards your anchor side, so away from your lead side. Again, you can also use that foot as a reference point. The bottom half of the circle will be traveling away from that foot. So if you need to, you can start at your lead side foot, your dominant hand's foot, and travel away from that. Just keep it right in front of you. You don't want it to be off this way or off that way. Try to just keep it as if you were right up against a flat brick wall. Notice how the bottom is traveling away from that lead foot in that direction. This would be a wall spin. You can let it stall out and go in the reverse direction, and this is now a reverse wall spin. Stall out, wall spin, because it is traveling away from my lead foot. Reverse wall spin, because the bottom half of the circle is traveling towards my rear foot. Now we have the diagonal spin. So this is going to be a lot like the wheel spin, but instead of it being straight towards the front and back of you, you're going to offset that line in a diagonal direction. So now, instead of it traveling at this way, you're going to just twist it ever so slightly that way. So it's kind of going forward and backward, but it's also going left and right of you as well. It's kind of like if you imagined yourself on a compass. You've got north, east, south, and west. This would be going northwest and southeast at the same time. So again, it's a lot like the wheel spin. The bottom half is traveling away from the lead foot, forward. So this would be your diagonal spin. Let it stall out and travel in the reverse direction. Now it's traveling towards you and toward your lead foot. It is now a reverse diagonal spin. So you got your reverse and your lead, or just the regular. And your reverse. The normal diagonal spin. Stall out. Reverse diagonal spin. You've now learned 6 different rope dart spins. You have your wheel spin, your reverse wheel spin, you have your diagonal spin, your reverse diagonal spin, your wall spin, and your reverse wall spin. Now I'm going to show you how to transition between them. We can either transition between the 3 main types, your wheel, diagonal, and wall, or the reverses of them as well. So you can transition between wheel, diagonal, wall, or you could transition between reverse wheel, reverse diagonal, reverse wall. So the rope dart is going to be just keeping the same swinging motion. You literally transition between it without allowing it to stall, and you just keep on swinging it. So let's start with a wheel spin. So the bottom half of the circle is traveling away from you, away from your lead foot. It is a wheel spin. Now what you're going to do is as you get to the top of your arc, you're going to want to just kind of maneuver the rope slightly so that it is now going in a diagonal spin. So you got your wheel spin. As it gets to the top of the arc, give it a slight pull towards where you want it to go and send it into a diagonal spin. Once you're comfortable there, now as it gets to the top, pull it to your left a little bit and put it in a wall spin. The trickiest transition is from the diagonal to the wall spin. So once you're in there, as it gets to the top, you can kind of jerk it towards where you want it to go for the diagonal spin again. Now I'm in diagonal spin, and then once you're comfortable there, you can go back into a wheel spin. Jerk it towards where you want it to go. So this would be straight in front of you. Now just practice going back and forth between wheel spin, diagonal spin, wall, and then back to diagonal to wheel. So you got wheel, wall, diagonal, wall, diagonal, wheel, diagonal, wall, diagonal, wheel. Now we can do the same thing with the reverse spins. So let's start with a reverse wheel spin. Again, it's coming towards this lead foot and going off behind me, so it is a reverse wheel spin. As we do that, we're going to keep the same spin momentum and go from the wheel spin to the diagonal, then to the wall, then back to the diagonal, then back to the wheel. And just practice transitioning. Diagonal, wall, diagonal, wheel. And that is how you transition between the different spins. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to transition between your right wheel spin and your left wheel spin. go ahead and take your dart, and it's a lot easier to do this with a reverse wheel spin. So let's go into a reverse wheel spin. And what you're going to want to do is, as your dart is up at the top, you kind of yank your hand a little bit over to the left. So it's at the top, guide it over to your left. It's at the top, guide it over to your right. Get comfortable swinging it the way it is before you transition. So I'm comfortable with the right now, transition. Okay, now I'm comfortable with it. I have it under control again, transition. When you're first starting, you're going to kind of lose control a little bit as you transition. Wait until you have control again before you transition again. Once you have this mastered, you can literally transition back and forth, back and forth. Right, left, right, left, right, left. You could even do a little bit of a combination, like 2 swings on the right, left, 2 swings, right. Or you can practice getting faster and just whip it back and forth, back and forth. So just practice with that. It is a lot easier to do that with a reverse wheel spin. It is possible to do it with a wheel spin. It's just not quite as easy for beginners. Once you've mastered it with the reverse wheel spin, you can then start trying to teach yourself with the actual wheel spin. And what that looks like is, start with your wheel spin. Again, the bottom half of the circle is traveling away from your lead foot. And just get comfortable with that. Once you have it under control, take it to the other side. Wait until you have control of it, and then take it back. And then just progress until you feel comfortable with it. And then you can build up speed. Whenever it comes to learning new things with the rope dart, always start at a slower pace. You need enough momentum to keep it going, to keep the line taut. If you don't go fast enough, it won't be taut, and you'll probably end up hitting yourself in the head. So go just fast enough to keep the string taut. And practice. It's nice and graceful. Once you have that down, you can build up speed. But master the technique first, and then master speed later. The best type of speed is efficiency in doing it right. Once you have the mechanics down and how to do it right, then you can add speed to it. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you did, please smash the thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. That way whenever I upload a new rope dart or nunchuck tutorial, or maybe even a review for a rope dart, nunchuck, sword, whatever I happen to get, you'll be notified and you can officially be one of my YouTube students. Until next time, fear God alone.